All right. Hello, everybody. This is Antonio Wolf. Though this is still significantly far away, will definitely not be out this year. Maybe out next year. It all depends on how fast I want to burn through this and whether my inspiration is maintained. This is the Hegel Encyclopedia, which I have been working on and showcasing on various posts on Twitter, sometimes on Facebook, and then I occasionally post stuff showcasing entire pages in images on my Discord server. This is, by and large, 99.9% by me. I didn't want it to be that way. I had hoped that more people would join in on this idea when I first started. And I first started because none other a Hegelian PhD student that I like very much. I like his thinking. I told him about this idea, and he said he thought it was great, and that he had thought about something like that as well. And so I said, well, let's get together and actually do it. So he set up a Discord server. I joined it. We started inviting some people in, and I started just grinding away at it. I had hoped that he would fill in the gaps that I couldn't, because he's far more well-read than I am. So while I have the stuff on methodology covered quite well, and a lot of the introductory stuff to many things are fine for me to do, I just did not have the background that he did to readily write anything worthwhile, I think, for many things beyond that. Nonetheless, I mean, he was way too busy. And writing of this kind just was not his thing. So eventually, he did a couple paragraphs in some pages, and he eventually dipped out. And after that, actually, the only other person who's frankly contributed directly has been the only Fichtian I know, and who's a really brilliant guy, as well as another person who's mainly a historian, but they haven't done that much either. But the Fichtian has added at least 4 full essays, which have been very good on other thinkers other than Hegel. And I messaged other people when I first started this. I announced it. I asked a lot of people to hopefully join. A lot of people did reach out. Probably about 10 people reached out to me and said, oh, yes, I'm interested. And I said, well, okay, well, here's the stuff that we need. Here's the stuff you can write on. And they said, sure. And, it's been, a year? Yeah, about a year. And nothing came of it. So this is entirely my work. It will probably remain so until this is launched. And once it is launched, the hope is that this will become the central resource on Hegel on the internet, at least in English, and probably, well, given what it is, in every other language. Nobody else covers stuff in the way that I do, to the extent that I do. So I think people from all over the world will find this quite useful, frankly. And after that, while the basic impetus of this is, one, to put in a whole center for Hegelian information, quite frankly, because there's actually a few pages. There's, Hegel.net, which is probably the most vast to them all. And there's, I think, gwfhegel.org or something like that, which has, some collections of essays and other works. But there's nothing like this. Hegel.net is kind of cumbersome. It has a lot of stuff, but it's mostly, in German. And it's a great primary resource, but it's not a very good secondary resource, quite frankly. But I think that the reading that I have of the method and Hegel's overall outlook is one that is lacking, because if you look at the Stanford Encyclopedia, it has a certain kind of bent. There's a certain kind of bent that current popular readings of Hegel has. They're very much influenced by Pinkard, Pippin, and the like. These neo-Kantian Hegel readers. Also, other continentally inspired Hegel interpretations. And I have a, what people would call a metaphysical reading, though I don't see the point. I go by what the texts say, and, before I even read people like Holgate or people like Winfield, it was clear to me which way the text goes. And it has only really gone more that way. So besides being a center for information, this is a center for a unified reading of this information. But I do not intend this to remain this way, quite frankly. I do not really want this to just be a me project. It has just turned out that way, unfortunately. Had other people actually wanted to actually add anything, I would have added anything, whether you were a continental, post-Kantian, or whatever reader of Hegel. If, anybody had submitted anything or would still submit anything, I would gladly add it. With the caveat that once such things start showing up, which I'd hope they do eventually, I want this to really be a Hegel encyclopedia with just about everything Hegel-related. So that, eventually, yes, my reading and form of interpretation will be one amongst many. Eventually, I hope to have an index page in which, what does Hegel think about spirit? And here's the quote-unquote metaphysical or logical reading of this. And here's the, post-Kantian, Pinkard, Pippin, all these other things, readings of this. Here's the Kojève reading of this. And anybody who would submit anything like that, I would, the only thing is do a bit of editing, spruce it up for, making it look good, order it, just break it into sections and clean up the grammar if needed. And that's it. That's all I would do for those things, and I would place them, amongst the index of pages. And eventually here we'd have probably tabs leading to these various kinds of readings so that, things would be centralized for everything. So it would work like a wiki page. Overall, even though this looks nicer than Wiki page, but unfortunately it doesn't have the same navigability as the Wiki page. So anyways, this is the front page. If any of you knows how to animate, send me a message or post under the video. I would like to get to this, but basically, animated so that all these heads are rotating around Hegel. Very simple. I could probably learn to do it, but I really don't want to learn to do it. And I think anybody who does any basic 3D animations could probably do this no problem. Seems very simple. So anyways, there's a quote from the preface of the Phenomenology of Spirit. If anyone were to ask for a royal road to science, no more convenient route can be suggested than to rely on sound common sense, and also, incidentally, for the purpose of keeping abreast of the times and philosophy, to read reviews of philosophical works, perhaps even their prefaces and opening paragraphs. For the latter give the general principles on which everything depends, and reviews give, besides the historical summary, the assessment to which being an assessment stands above the object assessed. One follows this common route in casual dress, but the exalted feeling of the eternal, the holy, the infinite strides along in the robes of a high priest. On a route that is rather already itself the immediate being in the center, the genius of profound original ideas and exalted flashes of thought. However, just as such profundity does not yet reveal the source of the essence, so too these pyrotechnics are not yet the empyrean. True thoughts and scientific insight are to be won only in the labor of the concept. The concept alone can produce the universality of knowledge that is not... The concept alone can produce the universality of knowledge that is not the ordinary indeterminacy and poverty of ordinary common sense, but cultivated and completed cognition. Nor is it the extraordinary universality of the gift of reason corrupting itself by indolence and conceit of all genius, but the truth mature to its natural form. A truth capable of being the property of all self-conscious reason. The gist of this quote is actually known more famously originally, The Railroad to Science. Marx paraphrases this in his own way, and that's actually far more famous than Hegel's quote, but the quote is fitting. Basically, you can't be lazy. Nobody can do your thinking for you. Nobody can do explanation for you. Nobody can reason for you. So you got to do the work, and that is what this encyclopedia project is really about. It's my attempt to organize things in such a way that hopefully, perhaps, you may do the work. So I'm just going to show off some pages. Now here's the main Hegel page. Here's that ugly mug, which everybody has seen. It's one of the 4 images, which is really 3, I think. There's like only variations of them that exist of Hegel. Really annoys me that there's so few images of this guy. But what'd you expect? He was not photogenic, and people didn't like him because of his looks. So, simple stuff. You've actually already encountered this work. This is what the Hegel introduction video at the very early part of this year that I released, about 20 minutes or so, a good chunk of that, I think, minus this last section on real philosophy, was basically in that video. Word for word, I was basically reading this article. There is a planned biography. Somebody else is working on that, and they'll get to it when they get to it. I know that person's actually pretty busy, but they've told me they're still working on it, so I have no reason not to believe them. Here's a page for the video on absolute idealism on this channel, also earlier from this year. Same thing. Almost that entire video was verbatim this actual article. So you've already encountered it. There's a couple of sub-pages that I'm thinking of. Here's one, The Essence of Hegelianism, which is actually an attempt at some formalization of certain doctrines, you may say, of Hegel's general philosophy. A lot of these I still have to work on a lot. It is not easy to formalize things even when they're basic, much less so when they are this complex, and when they really have to just assume things, and which is an enemy of Hegelian thought. But what are you going to do? So a lot of these things require careful consideration of how to properly phrase things so that they are as clear as possible, and even then people will be utterly confused. But there's nothing I can do about that. The only thing I can do is make these consistent, make them valid. I can't prove to people that they are true, but nonetheless they offer a certain kind of at-faced reasoning to the plausibility or at least rationality of these positions. Not that they're that important, quite frankly. I just thought up this page idea because it just interested me whether I could actually do it, which I think it can be done, although most people necessarily will encounter this stuff and will just be confused. Anyways, there's another page which someone else, really interesting, he's not even a philosophy student, he's actually a law student, if I remember, from Brazil. A very brilliant guy, very knowledgeable, far more well-read than I am. And this is from a Brazilian source, which has 14 points on Hegelian philosophy. Don't know if I'm going to leave that up. Don't know if I'm going to try to work this out into something greater or if I want to comment on it. We will see. This is probably the most important page, and it should probably be arranged in its own little tab. Actually, I can't make it its own little tab. This whole thing will actually not expand any further on the page, so it becomes very annoying visually. Even on a full desktop, wide screen like this, it would create a second layer or second row of these categories, and it would just go right on the bottom, and I really don't like that, so it's under the Hegel tab. Of course, I could just call this the beginning tab and put the Hegel page directly under it, because that's kind of what it is. This is where pretty much most of what is on the Empyrean Trail has been reworked. A lot of these things, as you can see, have actually been worked out. This is a page that does not exist on the Empyrean Trail. It is a completely new attempt at reworking this, and you have actually encountered the contents of this in quite a few of my videos, but I've done no video in which this overall has been the verbatim source. So as you can see, it's quite decent, quite large. Here I actually focus on the formality of the method against everything that I usually preach on my channel, which is forget about formalities, forget all these other things. I went ahead and broke down and said, well, maybe people might find it useful. I don't personally see it as useful, but I could make some comments, and as a matter of fact, here are comments. There's a whole section on why the whole introduction to the method in this way is utterly useless, but nonetheless, it may be interesting. And so instead, I end up providing a kind of like a second-order commentary on the structure of a method of a different kind than I have provided before. And as you can see, the triad and tetrad, many of you might have at least heard. It's not too rare to hear, well, there's a tetrad form. There's a, instead of 3 moments, it's 4 of the dialectic, of the speculative method. But what's that all about? I'd never actually seen anybody really explain it, so I ended up forcing myself to read the section on the absolute idea where this is mentioned, and it became absolutely clear to me what this actually was and why it is not mentioned or used as an expression almost anywhere in Hegel's works. It ends up being a useless formality, even though technically speaking it is there. So this is probably one of the more important ones, but not too important. Have a whole page on sublation. The whole video on sublation on the channel was basically a verbatim reading of this. And as you can see, these are... I try to link everything. So you hear sublation every time a major concept is first mentioned on any page. What I will do is link that page to that concept. Beyond that, as you can see here on the left, we have these categories, as far as concepts. Here are all the pages which concern concepts as such. There's types, so overviews, the kinds of pages that it is, and here's the major concerns. Where does a page fall? Is it mainly a thing about the phenomenology of spirit? Is it mainly a thing of science of logic, objective spirit, philosophy spirit, and all that jazz? What is it connected to? So as you can see, not everything will ever have necessarily its own page independently, but WordPress at least has a way in which I can link specifically to parts of pages, so that if I cover something on one page already, I'm not going to break it up into its own page just so that I can interlink it. I don't have to. So, a lot of things eventually might work out to just be sub-pages of actual major pages, which I like. There's things like this, pages on abstraction. Usually nobody explains this. Every page in which things are relevant, I will have related primary works, and these will range from essays that Hegel has. As you can see here, this links to the direct essay on Marxist.org or wherever it might be, or it will at least just cite what the source is if it is not available online directly. I will link to secondary works that I'm aware of that concern the topic of a page. So, here's Andy Blunden's commentary on the meaning of abstract concrete in Hegel and Marx. Here's my own secondary writings on that. And I realize that it might seem to people to be very egoic for me to link my own stuff, but one has to realize this is already primarily my own stuff. So who else would be fit to comment on the commentary than myself? But insofar as anybody can ever message me or show me something relevant to these, I will always gladly add to primary or to these things or footnotes or whatever. As you can see, some pages will have a more academic style, but that is not really the point. As well, by the way, beyond these little major things, there are tags on pages, so that these are like ways in which you can search, and the search does allow you to search at least two categories at once. I should probably make a page on exactly how to do that once that is launched, because it is not obvious how you're supposed to do it, but you can do it. And then it's actually very nice. So the actual search within the web page is not so good, but you can also search things through search engines once it's live, and you could probably find a better way to keep track of those things. So I don't worry too much about that. When this actually goes live, I will spend my own money and bio domain. I'm still not sure what I want to call the domain for this, the Hegel Encyclopedia or whatnot. Obviously, it has to be something Hegel related, and probably absolutely has to have Hegel in the name, because otherwise, good luck coming up on algorithms. It's not the search engine's faults that because you didn't put Hegel in the name, things are not going to come up. That's just the way search engines are, and that's the reality. So we have that. So you can see, like, for example, I have core concepts, which kind of goes over anything that I think is core. And as you can see, a lot of things are core because, well, by and large, most of everything that's going to be on the launch page is core. I mean, look at these. This is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 pages on core concepts. That might seem scary, but actually it shouldn't be. The reality is that a lot of these are actually might be folded in on just one single page because they are not themselves that long. Something like totality should not take more than a page to describe. Something like identity and difference, quite a bit more. Here is one thing that I'm working on, the Guard article. Pretty big, really big. It's one of the bigger pages, 5,000 words and so on. But most pages are not actually that long. Something like Spirit is this short. I think this is what? Barely 1,000 words maximum. And there's not much to say about it. It is really just that simple. Other things that you might look up on the internet were like, what is Spirit? It's either far too short or like far too long. There's nothing that's properly succinct to what needs to be said. Something like the concept, relatively short for what it is. I'm capable of doing things up until universal, particular, individual. Since I have not read the judgment and syllogism parts, I can't expand on those yet, and I'm reticent to read secondary literature and write from that. I can read, Richard Dean Winfield's take on all this stuff, and he does a fine job, but I have some differences with Winfield regarding the way we think about some things, such that I can't say I 100% trust that I can go off his reading, because I've found that my own reading of certain things, which he has readings of, do not entirely jive. So, sorry, here's another one on the idea. Still stuff that I'm working on mainly because I haven't read the section, and I've been putting it off. Although the sections are not that big, nonetheless, it's stuff that's being worked on. This, again, it's part of the idealism, what is absolute idealism video, and rather than make its own page, it's under the absolute idea page, and I just link directly to that section. The absolute, same thing, it's on the absolute idea page. This is actually an article from the Empyrean Trail, which I need to rework a little bit and re-edit. This is also article from the Empyrean Trail, also needs some re-editing. Try to be a bit more academic with the way it's presented, but I don't think I'm going to keep that up for many things. Here's another page in which objectivity and subjectivity, a lot of these things are quite literally introductory commentaries. They're not going into any technical detail, rather they're sort of giving you a gist of how you can go from a common sense understanding towards what Hegel's talking about. And that's actually much of what I want to do with a lot of these pages, quite frankly. A lot of it is far less about technicalities and far more about attempting to give people a framing of how to go from their regular intuitions towards what Hegel's talking about. Freedom. This is a pretty big one, actually. A video will be coming soon. Basically just reading off of this page as the script. So you can see it's a significantly big page. I think it's somewhere around 3,500 to 4,000 words. So nothing small, and there's some sections in which I think I might just get rid of them because no other section really relies on them. There's some stuff, core concepts, being in thought. What is the connection of the unity of being in thought? Well, here you go. I'll actually also make this into a video. It's a very short one, which I think probably works out better for views. People look at a 40-minute or 30-minute behemoth and just kind of probably avoid it, but they see something like a 7-minute thing like this, and it's a lot more palatable. And also, as with many things, I'm going off of what the intuitions of everyday life, the common concepts that we have, the lay understanding of concepts, and how this can connect to the kind of stuff that Hegel is doing. Some of these are still empty. Some of these are still empty even on the Empyrean Trail because I've been lazy and just have not gotten around to them, even though I'm perfectly at home with explaining those sections. This is actually an interesting little page, which has remained unfinished, mainly because I received some good feedback by the Brazilian Hegelian Marxist, or Marxist Hegelian rather, on this, and he gave me some pointers of what sections to read, which is why I was reading, or have been reading, the Encyclopedia. It's to get a clarity on certain things here, because while what I write, he told me was completely good, I should expand it with what is in those sections to better reflect more detail in the text, which is fine. Being itself, for itself. This is the video that's already on my channel, so you've already encountered that material. Some of these form and content, I just need to read that section. What is science? This is actually a reworking of a page on the Empyrean Trail already. And as you can see, some of these are far more on what can be cited or sent to as, primary things or secondary things. Contradiction, major concept, absolutely has to be done when I launch this. I have not yet read it. Even though that is very doable, the actual chapter in which this arises is not difficult. I've already actually read part of it regarding identity and difference, and contradiction falls upon them not much later. So there's that. That's the beginning page, which will really be the major introductory page that ties most of this together. System of Science, this links back to the beginning page, Method and Core Concepts. These are pages on Hegel's major pre-system works, which are generally ignored in readings outside of the specialists. If you're not actually specialized in Hegel, chances are that you are not reading any of these essays, even though they are actually all very good and worth reading. Although, I mean, admittedly, something like the Essay on Natural Law and Schelling's Efficient System Philosophy are probably, definitely the Essay on Natural Law is itself just its own mostly independent little thing, which is him trying to make a positive treatment, as opposed to a lot of these other ones like Faith and Knowledge, Skepticism, and the difference between Fichte's and Schelling's systems. He's making a critique, which is easier to follow than something like the Essay on Natural Law. But nonetheless, I did put out a series of articles in Epoche regarding this, and this is recreated here. Edited to clean it up, added some images, and other things. And if I ever get around to finishing that essay, I will just keep expanding it. This is one of the few essays which somebody else other than me actually did on Faith of Knowledge, and it is very good. It's exhaustive of the entire essay, which is no small feat. So there will be sections, obviously, on the phenomenology of spirit and the science of logic, and in these, I have frankly just copied and pasted the stuff that's on the Empyrean Trail. I still haven't cleaned it up, but I will clean it up. Some of these pages are just absolutely monstrous, but the monstrosity is due to the nature of the work itself. So beyond cleaning up the grammar and phrasing of certain things, it ain't changing. That's just the way it is. So up to the stuff that I actually do have done for myself. Obviously, after that, these are just like images just holding on for the possibility of either in the future I write a part on these, or if somebody else wants to write specifically summaries of these sections, they are more than welcome. So this is Phenomenology Spirit. As you can see, pre-system systematic works, the 4 major essays. Then there's Phenomenology Spirit, and then there's the mature systems, Science of Logic, Philosophy of Nature, Philosophy of Spirit. Regarding Philosophy of Spirit, there is almost nothing, although I should create a page because I actually do have material on this. Objective Spirit as well, Philosophy of History as well. It just needs to be created and ordered. Philosophy of Nature has some stuff on this as well. There are like these original commentary, introductory essays. A lot of this stuff is in the idea phase. Obviously, Science of Logic relinks to the absolute idea, or rather the Hegel page. A bit of a commentary on what the Science of Logic is. So, little sub-essay on the page itself. Don't know if I want to keep the pages like this, honestly, or if I just want to make it a sub-page of its own. As with the phenomenology, things will be broken up. Being nothing, becoming, existence, and that's. And these are kind of weird. It's the doctrine of being, the doctrine of essence, the doctrine of the concept. The three major volumes, or the three major books. Being and essence constitute one volume, the objective logic, and the constitute the subjective logic. And so you go to the doctrine of being, and what you have here is being, in which this will comment on the generally on the doctrine of being as a whole. Whereas here you have the specific chapters, being and nothing and becoming. Then chapter 2, existence, and this is pretty much a copy of the page that's on the Empyrean Trail, being for self, the one and the many, which I do have some stuff, but it's not public, and it'll be a while. I do want to get done at least with the third chapter of being and have that complete. Quantity and measure, God knows if I will ever bother with that. These are just pages or images that are here as placeholders. They don't really. I don't think personally I will ever get around to them on the level that I've gotten around to the first chapters of being. I just don't see, frankly, the point. Is there something worthwhile in trying to write a full commentary in the style of what I have written for the entirety of the logic? Yes, there is. Absolutely. Should someone do it? Yes, they should. Do I want it to be me? No, I do not. It may end up being me, but if I do it, I won't do it because I feel that I'm forced to, but rather because just as I've done up to now with pretty much everything on this, it's just stuff that I personally am fascinated by and just feel compelled to work out. So that's pretty much the whole Hegel section of the Hegel Encyclopedia. I have this page on Hegelians, in which, as you can see, I want to have these wiki pages, basically, of, Hegelians, people who, the people themselves, the writers, the authors, and a collections of their works. Now, some of these people just don't have much information out there on the internet. Someone like Justin Burke, besides, doing a couple of videos and having a PhD thesis out online, and these lectures that he's done for years, groups. There's not much of his anywhere, so I just can't say much about the guy. Even though I do like him and would like people to know more about him. Ken Foldis, swell guy. Probably the only religious Hegelian that's like full on Hegelian in a religious sense. What little I know about him, what I come to know of him through his stuff. We link to his webpage. Oh, well, his webpage is gone. I'll have to fix that. There are some stuff in which he has personal essays or personal lectures. You can see here below they have personal website, which seems like his expired. He doesn't have it anymore. Well, YouTube site, at least that works. And his Twitter page, it works. So online lectures, links directly to the relevant pages. There's specific lectures that I thought were interesting, so I linked directly to them. Books. He has his books available on academia.edu, so I linked directly to them. There are articles, so here it links to his entire academia page for his articles, because that's where he hosts most of them. And here it's articles of note: Understand Hegel's System, Flay, Holgate, Stern, Westphal, and the realist Hegel reading refuted. So stuff like that. Henry Silton, H.S. Harris. Don't know anything about him. Haven't really bothered to look into him yet. Stephen Holgate. The person who I started the Encyclopedia project with at least wrote this much, so I'm thankful to them, because he's actually studies with Holgate. It was at his university. So, he had more knowledge about what was interesting from Holgate. And there's some stuff here. Jean Hippolyte, French guy. Not much I know about him, not much I've read from him. So, a lot of these things will frankly be left to be filled out by people who care more and have had more exposure to these people than I have. The people who I've had exposure to, like Ken Folders, David P. Levine, I, wrote the pages because I find them interesting. So, and I know something about them. Stuff like Kenneth R. Westphal, Winfield's page. Again, any pages that they have on the internet. Should work out. Forgot that. That works. Can folds. YouTube page. Works out. And Winfield's probably the most interesting living Hegelian, so he has the most written about him. This is his page from when he ran for Senate. Obviously, he has a lot of online lectures here on the Internet Archive. And the man is a writing machine. I read his books, not many articles, so I, can't say what articles of notes he has. And this is a guy who I did not even know about, but when I posted about possible submissions wanted for this, somebody actually sent me a ready-made article. And so I put this page up here. This is actually the assistant to him who made this. So, here you go. If you care about any of these people, and by the way, yes, the whole thing is going to be biased in trying to parse out a who's grouped with who kind of list. Because I don't think that it's fitting to portray a lot of these people as having an equal say on interpretation, because they don't. So obviously on the what I consider straight up Hegelians are people who have a reading that is not too far from the actual text. Kenneth Westphal, one may call a bit more of an analytic Hegelian, but he's a bit more liberal in his views as well. But nonetheless, as far as he explains things, he's not too far from the spirit of the text, I think. So I count him on that. And that's, you might say, well, that's just your subjective opinion. Yes, it is. But I'm the one making this. And if anybody else ever has criticisms of how things are ordered. That's perfectly fine. Things can be worked out later on. Henry Clay Brockmeyer, you should know about this guy. If there's an article somewhere that already exists talking about the person, I'm not actually going to write an article on them. I'll just link to the article. Andy Blunden, for example, already has a page of his own, cataloging basically everything that he's ever done. So I'm not going to do much of anything on him. Ilyankov definitely should have his own page and does have some work. Zizek, I think, has his own page a little bit, and I don't know what to say about Zizek. I don't like Zizek, but, I'll figure out some better way to phrase these categorizations and groupings. Because right now, obviously, doesn't roll off the tongue. This group's definitely going to remain Hegel-inspired. Someone like Jay Bernstein has his own page, so I just link directly to his page. I'm not going to bother with writing a page for him. Robert Brandom also has his own page, believe it or not. And boy, does it show that he's an old man, because this is like, internet from the 90s. John Dewey, don't know anything about him, but I've encountered some people who are interested in him, so, maybe somebody's interested in making a page for him. Gotthard Günther has his own page, but it's mostly German. You should know who he is. Very interesting guy. Alexander Korzhev. The favorite person to hate as far as blaming bad Hegel readings on, even though I think he gives way too much hate. He's not so bad. I mean, he's bad, but he's not so bad. There's actually some stuff which is really good. Karl Marx. If ever I get around to finishing this page, it's going to be one of the longest pages, because Marx is the second philosopher or thinker who I have a lot of experience with, and whom I have a lot of thoughts with. And a lot of these pages I frankly want to place as a form of commentary. Obviously, like the Marx page is not just about Marx, in general with a blurb. It is under this heading, Critics of Hegel, for example, in which I want to get the major critics of Hegel, and I want to have a page for all these critics. Now, there's a lot of these people who obviously I don't know anything about, so I cannot rightfully and like good conscience write an article of their criticism. So, if any of you know anybody, if anybody knows a Heideggerian, for example, or if you are a Heideggerian, or if you like Heidegger, and want to, well, obviously here, this has been already been written by the Fichten guy. Boy, that guy's a machine. When he writes a lot, and he writes very well. He's written the Fichte. He's written the Heidegger page. He wrote the Schelling page. Very good Schelling page. And here's the Fichte page. And these are summaries of their philosophies, but it also includes their criticism of Hegel from their standpoint. On these pages, I do not intend at all to critique them. In fact, I may eventually write responses to what is in these pages from my perspective. And these pages would then be like these sister pages in which, on this page would be like, here's the Hegelian response to this. And on the Hegelian responses, here's the original, criticism from the perspective of this person. So, I prefer that people who actually have a a vested interest in these thinkers are the ones who write these pages, because they're the ones who, ideally would be aware of what these actual criticisms are. And that's how I think it should be. And then if anybody has a response, they shall write it, I shall put it up, and it shall be linked directly on these pages. And I don't know why Fish does here twice. Yes, the same page. Who knows? I'll fix that. But anyways, yeah, a lot of these things, I'm taking it upon myself to write the Marx one because, well, I don't trust anybody else to interpret Marx. I know my Marx pretty well. I don't buy into it anymore, but I know how to put forward the positions in a rather, simple way. So there's that. I think these are really good ideas. And then here's another one, a community of conscious life. What is that, you might think? Well, it is the page for people who are currently Hegelians, trying to do something of any kind. Here's a page on Irami Ose Frimpong. It's got a nice image of the guy. Has a link to his page. Well, I guess his page was removed, or it's been changed. I mean, a lot of these places changed, so links to his social media, links to his YouTube channel, links to his Medium page. He occasionally puts things. And, it's got a little blurb kind of selling what he's doing. It tells you a little bit about him, but it's mostly about what does he do that has to do with, the importance of Hegelian philosophy. Obviously, there's a page on myself. I got a lot of pages. There's a page on somebody who actually doesn't like me, but I think they're worth knowing about, that they are an honest individual, that they are sincere. And so, I link his stuff. For those of you who don't know about Dialectics Institute, nobody cares. But, hey, it's something. They're trying to get something. It's a nice looking page, although completely outdated with the internet, but you might have heard of this man of the spirit on my server on Discord. They go by the name, or on Discord they go by the name Spirit Man, and on YouTube they go by that. And so I told him, well, you want to be added to this? Sure, I'll make a page for you. And true to that, he went ahead and just sent me this gigantic document. I cleaned it up and I ordered it and put it on the page. And yeah, so if you're a Hegelian or a Hegelian anything and you want people to look at your stuff, this would be the page where I showcase Hegelians who are not the big names, not the big scholars that everybody's looking at, but who are attempting to do something. Secondaries. This is where, the general overview of the whole system is in. Here's Phenomenology of Spirit. Any lectures relevant or lecture series relevant to the Phenomenology of Spirit are going to be there. Winfield's series of lectures on it. Sadler's series on it. Half-hour Hegel's right here. Here's my reading groups on it. Here's books on it. Science of Logic, same thing. Lectures of many kinds. my readings, group 1, 2, 3, and so I have many readings. Philosophy of Natures, same here. Lectures, and Winfield has a few, so they go there. Philosophy of Spirit, same thing. And as you may notice, there's a lot of Winfield, because Winfield is pretty much the only person who's actually put up their lectures. It's a shame. It's a shame that still these other professors like Holgate and stuff just do not get with the program, do not understand the internet age at all. They're not bothering to record any of this stuff and putting it up there. More people have listened to Winfield than probably have read Holgate. I mean, that counts for something. You want to have exposure. You want to have information out there in as many ways as people can digest it. So I mean, this page is obviously bare bones. Not much going on here. So you can see there's some of these pages still bare bones. I mean, a lot of placeholders. Certain pages on concepts. Here's the big God article. Somebody once told me that they might be interested in working on Hegelianism in Islam, and so I made a page placeholder. They've never worked on it. They probably won't work on it, but it's all right. It's stuff that can easily be worked out, removed, and shifted around as necessary. But here's another thing. I obviously link to other resource pages. All the other pages which would count like this, here's the Hegel.net page. Links to here's the page where they have everything, books and articles and all these other things. gwfhegel.org. This is the one that run by the Hindu Hegelian that I mentioned earlier. There's not much on this website, but it is a useful website. It has some interesting stuff that's not anywhere else. Somebody has a whole Hegel bibliography page. Just mentioning all the works on Hegel in the English language and probably other languages. And as you can see, it's a lot. Philosophy for the Future. It's actually a German site. So, if you could read German, interesting site. I can't, but I can use Google Translate. I think it's also just generally covers a lot of things. And then, of course, there is my page on Epoche, because, I mean, there's something like 20 articles that I've written that basically cover a lot of things on Hegel and introduce it. So why wouldn't I put it there? That's it for the Hegel Encyclopedia. This is what you can be looking forward to in a year or maybe two. It depends. I don't know when I will be finishing this. And then once I finish it, I'll still be sitting on a lot of this stuff for a while, just to go back to it eventually, give it a look over, and do final touches. And then after that, when the time comes to launch it, I will try to do a PR campaign to a certain extent. I will actually try to send the site and talk about it with established scholars, with philosophy podcast people, I'll try to get on as many places as I can to get people to be aware that this resource is live and there for people's benefit. Nobody's paying me money. Nobody is going to pay me money. This won't make me money. But, this is something that should have existed. Unfortunately, the educational system and the university system is a perverse system in which professors and the likes and, graduate students, which are the people who have the time and energy and knowledge to make this kind of stuff and do it properly, are not incentivized to do something like this. If you have information, don't put it out for free. Don't put it out with an audience, intended to be the majority of people. No, you have to go and submit it to a journal which nobody reads, which nobody will look at, which in the future nobody will care about, and which certainly right now nobody cares about. Lock up all of your information. Be jealous about what you know. Be jealous about what you write, because hey, you have a career to make off of it. This stuff is going to be online for free. I do not care. Once this goes live, if people copy this, if people steal it, if people claim that it's their work, I do not care. Because, well, the whole point of this stuff is for people to learn it and to hopefully integrate it into their lives. Or at least, if they don't end up liking it, then at least they don't like it for the right reasons, as opposed to not liking it because they got very bad exposure, but because, somebody made it look really stupid, because somebody was incompetent and didn't know what they were talking about, which is most of the presentations on this information is. So yeah, that's the Hegel Encyclopedia project. If any of you watching have any desire to, add in what little you want or as much as you want, whether it be graphic design, whether it be website suggestions, maybe you know something better than WordPress. This is still a work in progress. It can still be remade. It can still be redone. The page order system itself is still doable. I had originally wanted to do a wiki, but to do a wiki, I'd have to be able to I'd have to run my own server and all these sort of things, and I really did not want to deal with that. While I want something, navigatable, I also want something that, it's not going to be too taxing for me to upkeep. And, philosophy people are not known to be, frankly, the most giving people when it comes to donations. When you have philosophical knowledge and you put it out there for free, people take advantage of you and then go, well, it's ideas anyway. You don't need money. You shouldn't care too much about it. And indeed, I personally don't care about it. If you want to give me money, go ahead. I have gotten to the point in my life in which I no longer just give my time to anybody anymore. People come in asking things that I've already written, that I've already talked about, and I just tell them, go read what I wrote, and they're like, wow, why are you so testy, so feisty, and dismissive? And my answer to that is, my time is valuable to me these days. Time is not infinite. It is limited, and the more my life goes on, the less of it I have. And I do not want to spend my life repeating over and over the same things that I've already done, which is why, by the way, by and large, I'm basically done with reading the first and the second chapter with people on the science of logic. I've mastered those chapters. I know them inside and out, like the back of my hand. Actually, I know them better than the back of my hand because I don't know the back of my hand. People have that phrase, and it's not really true. I don't know what the hell the back of my hand looks like. I don't look at it. I don't know what the front of my hand looks like either. If you ask me what are your the lines of your palm and whatnot, I could not fucking tell you. I have to look at it. But this is coming. It will eventually come out. Might be sooner than later, most likely later than sooner, but it will come out. Probably have issues, as all things generally do. There'll be pages in which probably interlinking will be missing because I overlooked it because I had it in mind from the very beginning. It's very difficult to have that set up because you have to make the pages and all these other things. So, yeah. And when this goes live, by the way, it will all go live. There won't be anything like, oh, here's an article a week or whatnot. Encyclopedia is an encyclopedia. It's all there, and as things are added, I will have something. I think there's a widget or whatever that I can place on the sides, so that here's a new article that's released, such and such a date or whatever. So that kind of stuff will be there, and it's the kind of thing which, well, hopefully people keep coming back to, and even perhaps one day, I run out of money and can't host it anymore, or can't keep the website name. At the very least, I hope that donations come in to maintain that much. And if ever I can't take care of this anymore, I'll just hand it over to care to somebody else. But all this stuff, while it is written mostly by me, you can look at the pages, and none of the pages attribute it to me because, quite frankly, I do not care if people know that I wrote this or not. It does not matter to me. As I said, people can steal this. People can steal the whole website, translate it to Chinese or some other thing, and then claim it as their own and gain fame in their own language for it. That's fine by me. So that's the Hegel Encyclopedia. Look forward to it. If you want to contribute to it, let me know. Comment on this video or send me a message somewhere on social media. See you around.